Hello and welcome to Zoom in Africa, where we'll bring you the continent's biggest stories in current affairs. We'll also bring you the headlines, main news stories, expert analyses, and interviews. Right here on Millennium TV. Hello and welcome to Zoom in.
Yeah, you gotta hustle. You can't be at the same location and with the same behavior. When you want to change the behavior, you at least change the location.
One, you need to be determined. You need to be disciplined and focused.
The business is something that you are able, at the end of the day, it's giving you something, profit. What do? Saturday we have a game. I don't have eggs, right? At home. We go there, we win. They'll give me maybe a 50 or 100 kwacha. Then I'll benefit out of that.
Only on Millennium TV. We miss business.
A happy Women's Day. All the women out there are celebrating today, no matter where you are, what you do, who you are, as long as you are a woman, a happy Women's Day to you. Welcome to Millennium Kwacha, your first business and breakfast show. My name is Constance Mwazinamwinga, and of course I'm with my co-host, Paul Shingongo. Yes.
Happy Women's Day to you.
Thank you so much.
Great. What
I decided to be all girly today. So pink headband, pink makeup, because I wanted to represent all the women out there. I hope I'm doing an okay job. We have a lot lined up for you today as we celebrate Women's Day. We're going to be talking to women who, have done great things, that are in amazing places and leadership and so on and so forth, and have achieved a lot of greatness. And so we're just going to have a conversation with them concerning that, and concerning the theme for this year, and concerning, of course, Women's Day, which is being commemorated today, the 8th of March. So do stay tuned. We have a jam-packed show for you. But for now, we start with the headlines.
Beginning with the headlines, the local stories. India to build agriculture university in Zambia, and ZABS gets tough on product quality. In foreign news, EU and US suspend tariffs over Airbus Boeing dispute. Another news in detail, an Indian investor has pledged to build a specialized agriculture university in Zambia at an initial cost of $1 million. Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Kabijimpanga, has disclosed. Mrs. Kabijimpanga said Banyan Impex Private Limited Director J.M. Patel will travel to Zambia on the 15th of March 2021 with a view of starting the registration process of the investment in Zambia. She said this when Texila University Lusaka representative Jasmine Kumar paid a courtesy call on her in New Delhi, India. Mrs. Kabijimpanga stated that the mission is proud of Texila American University Lusaka, which has roots from India, as it took a bold step to invest in Zambia and is currently doing well. She said over 500 Zambians are currently in Indian universities, and praised Texila American University for taking the investment to Zambia to lessen the cost. The High Commissioner said Zambia is one of the best investment destinations in Africa, after ranking the fourth most peaceful country in Africa according to the 2020 Global Peace Index. Mrs. Kabijimpanga, however, said investors should target Zambia's energy, manufacturing, construction, tourism, and agriculture sectors as prioritized by President Edgar Lungu. Now, the Zambia Bureau of Standards, ZABS, has intensified the engagement of products and other stakeholders on having their products meet required standards and ensure that they are certified. ZAB's Executive Director Manu Mtale said ZABS wants to ensure that all the commodities that are on the market and in chain stores are certified and meet the required standard. Mr. Mtale said having high-quality products will help the country move forward economically. He said this during a courtesy call on Millennium District Administrative Officer Kelvin Dandanda. Mr. Mtale said Milonga District has a good number of industrial projects that will need to work with ZABS for quality assurance of their goods and services. Meanwhile, Mr. Dandanda said ZABS visits to Milonga District will give an opportunity to the general public to know and embrace the importance of standard and quality assurance of products and services. He said honey, milling and fruit juices are the sectors that require ZABS help in terms of packaging and quality assurance. ZABS is in Milonga to check on the production and packaging businesses and ascertain their compliance to the national standards. Now, in foreign news this morning, Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari on Saturday urged all eligible Nigerians to be vaccinated against the coronavirus as soon as possible. At a media event in Abuja, Buhari himself was earlier vaccinated using the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India and provided through the Global COVAX initiative. While the COVAX initiative was created to ensure that low and middle-income countries receive COVID-19 vaccines, it has faced delays and a limited supply. Now, a first phone call on Friday clinched the first trade breakthrough to start rebuilding transatlantic relations between the United States and the European Union on the wake of the Trump presidency. After U.S. President Joe Biden and EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen spoke, both sides decided to suspend tariffs used in the long-standing Airbus-Boeing dispute for the next 4 months. It hardly covered all outstanding issues which were left to fester over more under the 4-year presidency of former President Donald Trump. But the EU gladly took whatever it could get from the first personal exchange between the two. A very positive signal for economic cooperation in the years to come. We go on a short break. When we get back, we move straight into sports, money markets, and the weather.
Millennium TV. Millennium TV. We mean business.
Yeah, you gotta hustle. You can't be at the same location and with the same behavior. You got, when you want to change the behavior, you at least change the location.
One, you need to be determined. You need to be disciplined and focused.
The business is something that you are able, at the end of the day, it's giving you something, profit. What do I do? Saturday we have a game. I don't have eggs, right? At home. We go there, we win. They'll give me maybe a 50 or 100 kwacha. Then I'll benefit out of that.
Only on Millennium TV. We mean business.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. We dive straight into the sports stories. Now, NAPSA Stars coach Mohamed Fatih believes last Wednesday's league loss at Young Green Eagles has not dented their belief heading into this Wednesday's CAF Confederation Cup Group B opener in Morocco against holders RC Berkane. NAPSA are currently en route to Berkane on the back of a humbling 3-1 away league loss to struggling promoted side Young Eagles in Kafue. The result is 6th from bottom's NAPSA's heaviest league defeat this season. NAPSA League's form is in contrast to their continental run, where they are unbeaten in their debut CAF Confederation Cup campaign. Meanwhile, the 23-member team left for Casablanca on Saturday afternoon from Lusaka via the Dubai. From Casablanca, the team will travel northeast near the Algerian border to Berkane. It will also be NAPSA's debut away trip to North Africa after preliminary stage exertions to Comoros, Mozambique and Kenya. Zesco United recorded their 5th consecutive win after edging Kabwe Warriors 2-1 away in Kabwe on Sunday to restore a 4-point lead at the top of the first Super Division. Zesco, who have moved to 40 points after playing 20 matches, are 4 ahead of second-placed Zanaco. All the 3 goals in this game came in the first half, with striker Enoch Sakala Jr. handing the visitors an early lead at Geoffrey Uka Chitalu Stadium with a 15th minute headed goal. Warriors equalized 20 minutes later, though through Sydney Puri, but Zesco went ahead again this time around with experienced defender Adrian Chama as the scorer on 39 minutes. This was Chama's 2nd goal in 3 days, having contributed a goal in the 4-1 mulling of Lumwana Radiance last Thursday in Ndola. The Magnificent Warriors' 6th loss of the season leaves them stuck at 31 points. And in Solwezi, Lusaka Dynamos moved into 3rd place on the table after thumping struggling Lumwana Radiance in Northwestern. Attacker Marvin Jerry grabbed a brace as Dynamos moved to 33 points, 7 behind leader Zesco after playing 21 matches. Elsewhere on Sunday, new Indeni coach Moina Chipepo engineered a 2-0 win over his immediate former club, Prison Leopards. Forward Clement Mlenga was the hero of the day when scoring a brace at Godfrey Chitalu Stadium in the lunchtime match. Chipepo, a Zambian Correctional Service officer, last month took up the Indeni coaching job after ditching prison. We move on to international sports. Manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says Manchester United are not thinking about chasing down Manchester City, despite bringing the Premier League leaders' sequence of 21 successive victories to a crashing halt with an impressive derby victory at Etihad Stadium. Pep Guardiola's side still have what looks to be an unsaleable 11-point lead at the top of the table, but the manner in which United subdued a previously unstoppable City and enhanced their own top 4 chances will be a huge confidence boost to Solskjaer and his players. United, who have now gone 22 league away games unbeaten, including 14 wins, stunned City with a fast start and were ahead after a penalty was awarded inside the first 30 seconds when Gabriel Jesus fouled the impressive Anthony Martial. Bruno Fernandes scored from the spot despite City keeper Ederson getting a stronger hand on the ball when United fashioned the win with a mixture of solid defense and constant menace on the break. Rodri almost equalized just after the break when his shot glanced off the angle of post bar. United effectively sealed the win, condemning City to their first loss since a 2-0 defeat to Tottenham on the 21st of November, when the outstanding Shaw, who had earlier missed a chance to double United's lead, laid a counter-attack, exchanging passes with Marcus Rashford before beating Ederson with a low shot. Solskjaer's team, who has not scored in their previous 3 games, moved back into 2nd place, a point ahead of Leicester City in the increasingly tight fight for a place in the top 4. And that's it for sports. We move on to our money markets. Now in money markets today, the Zambian kwacha is trading at 21.88 against the US dollar, 30.27 against the British pound, 26.12 against the euro, and 1.43 against the South African rand. The South African rand was later changed at 15.3 against the greenback, not far from a 5-week low of 15.4 touched earlier in the session after Fed Chair Powell did not signal any change in policy despite rising Treasury yields. We move on to the British pound, depreciating towards 1.38, trading at its weakest level since February 14th as rising bonds yields pushed up the dollar and hit appetite for riskier currencies and stock markets. And the euro extended losses towards the 1.19 mark, hovering around its weakest level since late November as investors turned to bond yields and the dollar after US Fed chief said that the economic reopening could boost inflation temporarily. The euro was already under pressure as investors continued to monitor the slow pace of COVID-19 vaccination in the EU and its impact on Europe's economic recovery. That's it for money markets, and now we take a look at our temperatures. We start off with our capital. Lusaka City is currently standing at 23 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy and humid, as trail thunderstorms in certain areas in the afternoon. Temperatures will also rise to about 25 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, but then drop to about 19 degrees Celsius later on in the evening. Ndola will be cloudy and humid with thunderstorms. Temperatures currently standing at 22 degrees Celsius, increasing slightly to 23 degrees Celsius, and then dropping to about 18 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be quite cool later on in the evening. In the eastern part of Zambia, Chipata to be exact, Chipata will be experiencing showers this morning, otherwise considerable cloudiness throughout the day. It is currently at 23 degrees Celsius, increasing slightly to 24 degrees Celsius, and then dropping down to 19 degrees Celsius in the evening. Last but not the least, home of the beautiful Victoria Falls, Livingston is currently pleasant with partial sunshine. Temperatures quite warm at 30 degrees Celsius, climbing on to about 31, 32 later on in the afternoon, and then diving down to 20 degrees Celsius in the evening. So we are expecting a more or less warm day for Livingston City throughout the day. That's it for the weather update, and of course for your news update. As I said earlier, we have so much lined up for you. Amazing women coming through to talk to us and tell us where they've been, what they've been up to, and how they are celebrating Women's Day. So do stay tuned. We'll be back in just a bit.
Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business.
Mafingerings tikaleta kukuti kule ifike pa 500 gram or 450 gram or even pa 400 flat gram nshia kule mngapeleke pa market.
When we are at school, we learn a lot of things. Let's say, for example, for the diseases which are there in the poultry. So for someone like me who has gone to school, it's easy for me to know if at all there are any diseases in the poultry.
Yeah, you gotta hustle. You can't be at the same location and with the same behavior. You got, when you want to change the behavior, you at least change the location.
One, you need to be determined. You need to be disciplined and focused.
The business is something that you are able, at the end of the day, it's giving you something, profit. What do I do? Saturday we have a game. I don't have eggs, right? At home. We go there, we win. They'll give me maybe a 50 or 100 kwacha. Then I'll benefit out of that.
Only on Millennium TV, we mean business.
Hello and welcome to Zoom in Africa, where we'll bring you the continent's biggest stories in current affairs. We'll also bring you the headlines, main news stories, expert analyses, and interviews. Right here on Millennium TV.
The theme for this year's International Women's Day is Choose to Challenge. There are interesting facts that I want to bring on the table today. The first one, every 90 seconds, one woman dies during pregnancy or childbirth. Very interesting facts that are becoming every 10 minutes on the breakfast show concerning women. On today's edition, the special edition of the Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast show. Coming to you live on Facebook as well as YouTube, Millennium TV Zambia, also streaming live as well on channel 95 on the Top Star decoder. The question we're asking on this special edition is, are the voices of women being heard enough? We want to hear from you. Tell us where you're watching us from. Drop us a comment. You can also call us on 0975 740518. Now, talking about women, on set we've been joined by a phenomenal woman from When Women Lead. Chimuka Samatebele, welcome to Millennium Kwacha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul, for having me.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy International Women's Day to all the women watching, to you, darling. Thank you.
Even me, you can tell me Happy International Women's Day to the women in my life.
Do not indulge him. Oh, no.
My wife is watching. My mother is watching.
Yes.
Happy International Women's Day to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you left out, everyone has...
A rose.
Welcome to Millennium Kwacha once again. The theme is Choose to Challenge. I want to begin by finding out from you what this theme means to you.
Sure. Just again to say thank you to Millennium TV for having me here. So yes, I'm Chimuka Samatebele from When Females Lead. And, you know, we have a great theme this year for International Women's Day, Choose to Challenge. And it really just means calling out gender biases that exist in our world today. You know, whether it's in your personal career, in your home, you know, in your government, anywhere, you can choose to challenge the norms. If you see that there's something wrong where women are not being heard, they're not being seen, they're not in leadership roles, choose to challenge that. For us at When Females Lead, we do that by exposing the greatness of women. We are choosing to challenge by showing that women are capable of doing phenomenal things. You know, right now, especially on our social media, if you look at our pages, we are profiling exceptional women, mentees as well. So right now we have the Innovate Her mentees, which we've just started, and it's the first mentorship group for women in STEM. And, you know, STEM women, it's, you know, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They've been underrepresented, not just within, you know, research, but also in organizations. You know, some of our mentees are the only females working with 400 men. So they're choosing to challenge that norm by coming on board with us. And, you know, for us, we are providing mentorship. So we partnered with a UK firm who really strongly believe in the empowerment of women. And that's what we are doing with When Females Lead. So for me personally, even in our own organization, we choose to challenge what's going on in regards to women. Are we seeing more females at the top, and why? And when we find out the why, then we can work on that. And sometimes it could be as little as we're not applying for these jobs. We're not putting our hands up to say, hey, can you consider me? It's not always that these positions are not out there for women. It's that we are not coming forward because perhaps we lack confidence. We think we're not good enough. So for When Females Lead, we are empowering women by raising confident, ambitious women to get to the top. And that's what we're doing this year when we choose to challenge the norms.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay, so how do you see this though? Even as we challenge the norms and, you know, try to enter into worlds of organizations that, you know, would normally not be or has been stereotyped as not for a woman. Do you think more men are accepting that a woman can be in such roles or be in leadership, or it's just where now because there's more talk about it, it's mandated, you know, there are a lot of rules that are now there, like no, you need to have, if you have a male chairperson, the vice should be female. So do you think it's cause of mandate or because there are actually men out there that are coming out and saying, no wait, women can actually do this?
I think it's a combination of both. As women, we are coming together more than ever before to empower each other and to help each other. We rise by lifting other women up. So if you are rising in your career, why not take the next woman with you? But at the same time, we've seen some incredible support from men. We can't do this on our own. At the end of the day, we need men to help us. And men are opening up, and not because they're being forced to, because I think they see that women are phenomenal. Look at Kamala Harris right now. She's an exceptional woman. And, you know, if you look at her pedigree on paper, she's better than a lot of men. So we're also bringing substance to the table. We're not just turning up and saying, hey, just recognize me. We're educated, we're confident, we have experience, and we're seeing that more and more women are now coming forward and saying, hey, look at my CV. I have a degree, I have a master's, I've worked in this industry for many years, why not consider me? So initially it did start as a mandate for companies to consider women, but now we are proving ourselves that yes, you have considered us, but now you just need to recognize that we're here and we're here to stay. So even in Zambia right now, we have, Mrs. Mzinga Melu. Just look at her CV and what she's accomplished. I think we're no longer just looking at her as a woman, we're looking at her as an exceptional person. And anyone, whether it's male or female, can look up to her and say, hey, I can see that she's come from, being in a farm to now heading one of the biggest banks in the world. Well, in Zambia. But initially, she was also with Standard Chartered, which was one of the biggest banks in the world. So she's doing a phenomenal job. We have Lawani at Citibank. We've got Mukwandi at Zanaco. We've got so many women at the top here in Zambia. Even our own vice president is a woman. So it's no longer that men are being forced to recognize. I think they do recognize us because they can't ignore us anymore. We're fantastic. We're exceptional. And to be honest, I think one of the things that really distinguishes women from men is we're able to multitask. We have babies at home, we have responsibilities at home, but we still show up. We do our hair, we do our makeup, we wear our heels, but we come and we perform at the office. And you can't take that away from us because we're just able to do it all. So yes, that's how I really see it.
I would want to find out. Do we have? I know we've made considerable progress in ensuring that women are well represented in different sectors, political, economic, different sectors.
Yeah.
Which sectors do you feel still are lagging behind in ensuring that the voices of women are heard?
Absolutely. I think the two most prominent is the STEM field, so the science, technology, engineering, mathematics field. Right now, globally, 30% of women are within, certain positions, whether it's leadership or even in research. And for black women, it's actually a lot less. It's only 3% globally. So we have a long way to go. And that's the reason why, just for our organization, When Females Lead, we decided to dedicate an entire pillar to women within that field because we are underrepresented. I come from a STEM background. My degree is biomedical sciences. And within biomedical science, we did have a lot of women, but then in the engineering, mathematics field, it was predominantly men. And it's not that women are not coming forward, it's just that perhaps they're not confident enough. Sometimes they start in a STEM field and then they decide to fall away because the opportunities are not presenting themselves. So the reason why we dedicated, a whole pillar to that is purely to encourage more girls to come through and be a part of STEM. It's a highly lucrative position, career, sorry. And right now we have a lot of women who just need guidance. They need support. And the 10 girls that we have currently are phenomenal. I tell you, just go on our social media pages and you'll see the profiles. They've studied engineering at, in China, so they've come back and they're able to speak fluent Mandarin. We've got one of the girls who's currently studying at Harvard, and she wants to come back and contribute to Zambia. So that's definitely a field where women are still underrepresented. Another one is sports. As much as we have, sports, we've got the female soccer teams, you've got the female netball teams. If we look at the pay, there's a huge gap in pay. Right now, the only woman who even gets anywhere close to where men are is Serena Williams, and she's number 63 in the top 100. From 62 going up, it's just men.
Yes.
And she's doing a lot to really bridge that gap. Her and her sister Venus really fought for, equal pay in winning Grand Slams, and they have achieved that. But we still have a long way to go. But slowly we're getting there. The more we talk about it, again, choosing to challenge, calling out these gender biases, these iniquities, that conversation is driving change. And 10 years from now, honestly, I believe that we will be having a different conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah. Most of the time, I'm listening to you talk about STEM and how women will sometimes even start it, but then as they go on along will fall away. And you've noticed that a lot of women are opposed when they're in such position, even when they're in leadership positions, there's an opposition one way or the other. I want to find out from you, how have you dealt with that? You know, how have you dealt with that opposition that will come, maybe even when you're just having a meeting and someone just doesn't want to agree with your point, even when your point is actually valid and all of that. So how do you deal with it?
And that's a very good question. So I've had many instances of that, especially in the beginning of my career. So I work in financial markets, again, quite a male-dominated field, but we have seen a lot more women coming through. And initially, when I would bring up a point, it would need the backing of another man to see it come through. And unfortunately, that's how it was. And, you know, I had to deal with it by just being confident in myself and knowing that I know what I'm talking about. I've been, brought on into this company because, firstly, I've got the, the qualifications. So my seat is deserved. And so whether you listen to me or not, I will still remain confident in who I am and what I'm bringing to the table. And when you show confidence, the other person will then begin to change their views on you. Because they'll say, actually, you know what, she's actually speaking the truth, and I'll listen to her. And over the years, I've noticed that the way people sort of perceive me and perceive other women in the field that I am has completely changed. They're no longer closing the door to us. They're opening up. And, initially, especially when I write emails, people assume that I'm a man because Chimuka it's unisex, but they always tend to skew towards, oh, she must be a man. And then when they see me, they're like, oh, you're actually a woman. So over time, it has changed. That perception has changed. And as you continue to interact with men and continue to show how smart you are, how confident you are in your skills and your ability, those thoughts that they have that, oh, she's not good enough, they tend to change and they tend to go away. So you just have to prove people wrong. And again, mentorship is very key. I have my own mentor, and so even the challenges that I've faced within the workplace where I feel I'm not being heard because I'm a woman, I speak to my mentor, and she's a woman. She's, heading her department in the Ivory Coast, and she has helped me quite significantly in just saying, you know what, sometimes as women we feel that we have to be aggressive, we have to be how men are. We should just be ourselves. And eventually the world will just accept us for who we are. And I've noticed that has been a huge difference in my life. Just maintain who you are, continue to learn, continue to study, and continue to prove people wrong. And that's how you make change in people's minds and how they perceive you.
Awesome. Still watching the Monday edition of Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast show. Coming to you live from Along Your Studios, right here in Lusaka, also streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube. The theme for this year's International Women's Day is Choose to Challenge. And the question we're asking is, are the voices of women being heard enough? Want to interact with you? You can drop us a comment on Facebook or YouTube. You can also call us on 0975 740518. Want to hear from you. What are you choosing to challenge in this year? Or what particular fields do you feel women are not well represented? Drop us a comment and let's interact on this program. We are talking women issues with Chimuka Samatebele, one of the directors when females lead. Now, Chimuka, I would want to ask a question that most people ask.
Yeah.
In as much as we want women out there to their voices to be heard, there's been an argument that boys are left out. It's like, it's now, the future is female. So here's a mother that has 4 boys. And she's wondering, where's a place for my boys if the future is just female? Do you think this is causing an imbalance in the economic agenda of our country and maybe cause harm in the future if we just focus on the women? Or are we really focusing on the women only?
No, and again, that's a very good point that you bring up. 50% of the world's population is female. But when you look at certain organizations, especially in Africa, you find that the representation is less than 10%. So it's not that we are forgetting men, we're just choosing to remember women. And that's important. So the imbalance right now is that it is skewed towards men as opposed to women.
Is that so?
So yes, 100%. Fortune 500 companies right now, only 7% have female CEOs. So, you know, the attention needs to go towards women. If you look at most parliaments right now around the world, it's 1 in 4 are women. So the imbalance is really on our side, it's not on the men's side. Right now, when men sort of come into the workplace, they are genuinely more preferred than women. And one of the reasons why I think this is also a case, and it's not talked about a lot because it can be perceived as controversial, but in the hiring, you know, when you take on a woman, you're taking on the fact that she may have to go on a few months maternity leave, you know what I mean? And they're factoring that cost into it. But we still bring a lot to the table. You know, I was listening to a talk the other day by Ngozi Iweala on the same topic of International Women's Day and Choose to Challenge. And she brought up a fantastic statistic, which I think hasn't been spoken about enough. So she read a report from McKinsey and Company, and they actually put a cost to inequity, which is if women had the same equal rights as men, we would contribute $28 trillion to the world's economy. That's a huge number. So again, it's not that the focus is just on women and we're forgetting men. No, we are trying to remember women so that we can balance it up. Again, 50% of this world's population are females. Therefore, we need 50% representation at the top. That's all we're asking for.
When you say the future is female, what do you mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, the future is female in the sense that we shouldn't be having these conversations in the future. In the future, we should just be seeing men and women being treated as the same, because we are the same. One of the, you know, I as a woman, I'm going to be biased towards women anyways, because, again, I think we're just amazing. But if we look at even some of the female leaders right now, their response to COVID has just been exceptional. New Zealand is a prime example of how to deal with the COVID situation. Even when one person has COVID or tests positive for COVID, Jacinda has decided to just institute a lockdown for 2 weeks. And because of that, COVID cases in New Zealand have dropped significantly. And we've seen that with other female leaders across the world. So yes, the future is female because we want to show that women are just as good as men. Not that we're forgetting men and they're going to go away. No, we just want that balance. And that's all we're asking for. Just the bare minimum.
Awesome. Before we let you go this morning, I'll ask you, in Zambia, which are the 3 top women that influence you?
Wow, that's a very good question. I'll start with my mom.
Okay.
She's not physically in Zambia, but she is a Zambian woman. She has inspired and influenced me because even when I have doubted myself, my mom has always been my strength of confidence, aside from God, of course. She prays for me every single day. And even when I told her I was coming here, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. And, you know, for her, there was a lot that she wanted to do in her life that she couldn't. And so she's really encouraged me to say, don't fear, don't be scared to achieve anything. You can do whatever you want. So she is one of my inspirations, my number one. A second out would be obviously my aunt, Mrs. Melu, who's our founder for When Females Lead. And, you know, Mizinga. And the reason why I joined her with When Females Lead is because I believe in her vision. And her vision really is to raise confident females across Zambia and in Africa. And she has achieved so much. I mean, I'm reading her book right now. Even though I know her personally, there's certain stories that she hasn't yet shared with me, and which are in the book. And just to see where she came from to where she is now, and mind you, she's not done. There's still a lot that she's trying to accomplish, and she's broken so many barriers. You know, for Standard Chartered, she still remains the first and only female CEO. She's the CEO of ABSA right now. She had been CEO in South Africa and Tanzania. She worked in London. She worked in New York. I mean, her CV is just incredible. And above all that, she's still a wife and she's still a mother to 2 children. So she's able to juggle all of that. And then the third, that's a very difficult one because I have so many other women in my life. So I won't talk about the third, but I'll talk about a number of women. So I will look at, you got Mukwandi, you got Lawani, you got, even my sisters. They're all doing fantastic things. We've got you over here on TV, right? We have our vice president. She's also amazing. I don't want to put a pin on just one other woman. I'll talk about all the other women here in Zambia. I think we all have a part to play. My mother-in-law is a fantastic woman as well. She raised 3 boys by herself, by the way. She sent them all to university. Helen Samatagale, I hope you're watching. She's a businesswoman as well, and above all, she's a fantastic grandma to my daughter. So, there's so many women that I could speak about, and unfortunately we don't have too much time, but yeah, those would be my top 3.
Happy International Women's Day once again, Chimuka, and thank you for coming, Millennium, kwacha.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Great. Enjoy your day. I'm sure Mr. Samatewele is doing justice today.
Absolutely.
He just has to.
He's actually babysitting our baby.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So that's already a plan.
That's already a plan. He got me some beautiful flowers. So, and just to reiterate, for the men out there, please support your women. My husband has been a fantastic support. And, just encourage more men to do that, not just for their wives, but for the sisters, mothers, and all the women in their lives. Thank you.
Awesome. Still watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast. We're discussing issues to do with women with Chimuka Samatewele, one of the directors at an organization called When Females Lead. When we get back, we continue discussing issues with women. We have Zanji Sinkala already in the studios who will be talking to shortly after this.
Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business.
Is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
Millennium TV. Millennium TV. We mean business.
mafingerings tikaleta kuti kule ifike pa 500 gram or 450 gram even pa 400 flat gram nshia kule mngapeleke pa market.
When we are at school, we learn a lot of things. Let's say, for example, for the diseases which are there in the poultry. So for someone like me who has gone to school, it's easy for me to know if at all there are any diseases in the poultry.
Happy Women's Day to all the women out there. It's a special day for you. If you're a man that is watching, I want to ensure you're not left out. Happy Women's Day to you and the women in your life. I think that's a big statement, that all the women in their lives. That includes all the other types of women in their lives. But yeah, the theme for this year is...
It's a very controversial statement when you think about it.
I know. Choose to challenge is the theme for this year's International Women's Day. The question you're asking is, are the voices of women being heard enough? We want to hear from you. Or what are you choosing to challenge? Particularly, is it GBV? Is it divorce? Is it lack of women representation in politics? We want to hear from you. We're coming to you live from our Longacre studios right here in Lusaka, channel 95 on the top star decoder. Also streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube, Millennium TV Zambia. Tell us where you're watching us from on this special day. On set, we've been joined by an investigative journalist. When we hear investigation, we are afraid. Zanji Sinkala, welcome to Millennium Kwacha.
Thank you so much.
When we hear investigation, we are scared like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm an investigative journalist, and I mean, investigative journalism is basically revealing what people choose to conceal, yeah, in layman terms. Yeah, so it's just basically giving people information that other people wouldn't want them to know.
Do you think there are enough investigative journalists in Zambia? Do you think it's being done right even, you know, like for those that are actually there, are they doing it right and are they being recognized?
I think they're doing it right. About recognition, I don't think so. I don't think they are given the recognition they deserve. One, because half of the time, or maybe 3/4 of the time, their lives are threatened. You know, their lives are at risk. They're in danger. And secondly, I mean, who loves investigate? I mean, which people in high places love investigative journalists? You know, I mean, if your hands are dirty, if you have something dirty, you probably wouldn't like an investigative journalist. So, yeah, I think I could say that.
I'd want to ask you, what does this theme choose to challenge mean to you?
Okay, so choose to challenge, I think daring to go against the status quo, in my opinion. I think I'm someone who has always done that all my life. My mom raised me to be like that also. So I think it's just going above and beyond, you know, setting new expectations for yourself that I think society wouldn't normally set for you. And, you know, breaking those barriers, going above and beyond what has already been set.
Okay. When it comes to, you know, even as you're saying, you know, going against the status quo, what has been your experience on how women are treated when it comes to different organizations, you know, especially women in leadership or women in challenging the status quo, you know, when it comes to the places that you have gone to or you have been?
I mean, I could say there's always resistance. I don't want to put it in the physics term, you know, like when you make a change and then, you know, there's that resistance that you sort of face. But I guess, yeah, people usually don't like to do things differently. You know, people want, you know, even just in our world today, even in our country, you know, I don't want to bring this up so early in the conversation, but you'd find men are dominant in political positions and they want it to remain that way. There are certain things that people feel are okay the way they are. And I think that kind of ignorance that they are blissfully living in has an impact on women, So it's really, I think there's a lot of resistance that is faced. I have faced a lot of resistance in just trying to do something different. In my career, in my non-profit work, I've faced that resistance many times, and I think I'm used at this point.
When you say you faced a number of resistances, I know I've read your profile. You are a recipient of the 2019 Princess Diana Award for Humanitarian Work. Kudos to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you are nominated Woman of the Year Award in 2017. What have you used to climb to the top despite the resistance that you're talking about? What has helped you?
I think what has helped me is believing in myself and not really caring what people say. Not caring what people think or what they say. Because, even when you look at feminism, I'm a feminist, I'm a Christian at the same time, so I know that's kind of, it's crazy, it's controversial in its own way. Yeah, but people just don't accept that. There are feminists who think I'm not feminist enough, because maybe I don't maybe show a certain kind of side of feminism, I don't know, in my activism. Again, there are Christians who think, no, you shouldn't be a feminist, you should be submissive to a man, you should do this and that. So, there are all those things, and I personally really don't care. I don't care, and I still, because I know myself, I know that I am a feminist, I know I'm a Christian, I know I am a go-getter, I know I'm passionate about whatever I do, I'm passionate about my career. So, there's nothing that's really going to bring me down. It's just a matter of believing in myself. So, even for the Zambian Women of the Year Award, I think I had just done non-profit work for like 2 years when that happened. And, obviously there were people who were talking and saying, okay, she's the youngest so far. She's, she's only been doing it for about 2 years. There were all those things, and I really just didn't care. And I think that's something that, people should take on, especially women in such a field, not just journalism or non-profit work, but in every sphere. Basically, in politics, in whatever it could be. Just don't care what people say. Because I think that's something that really brings people back. You should be going forward instead of thinking about what other people are saying. So, yeah. That's what I think.
I'm curious, do you have a significant memory that stands out every time? When you're talking about resistance, you're talking about how people, talk back.
Yeah.
Something that stands out like that. Maybe it even shocked you a bit, wow, really? Especially if it, I would... And I know we're celebrating women, so maybe we shouldn't bash women at all. But I would actually like if it came from a woman, because we women are actually good at bashing ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. So I would say there's another organization that I co-founded called Women Taboos Radio. So for the award, the Diana Award, it was mostly also on that because it was on a journalistic aspect. So the thing with that organization, the media organization, it's a small grassroots media organization in Zimbabwe and Zambia and based in South Africa. So, we'd talk about taboo topics. We'd talk about female genital mutilation. We'd talk about widows cleansing. We'd talk about gender-based violence, obviously, which is everywhere. Domestic abuse. We'd talk about all those controversial issues that people don't really like to talk about. And we got incredible, and by incredible I don't mean positive, incredibly negative feedback for that. Yeah, we got incredibly negative feedback for that, because people were like, why are you trying to tarnish African tradition? Why are you going against what our forefathers or our foremothers have set, as standards or maybe norms, traditional societal norms? Why are you going against that? Why are you vilifying everything that's African? You understand? And for me, that was really disappointing. Because, you'd find women who are experiencing female genital mutilation, whose clitoris has been, altered, who cannot feel any sensuality ever, even when they sleep with their husbands or their partners or whatnot. And then, you are really defending such a tradition that is sort of dehumanizing women. And putting them not just in physical pain, but also emotional pain. They are psychologically traumatized by such an action. but then you do it because the man has to be the one to enjoy the woman, and so she has to experience that for the man to enjoy her. It's ridiculous in lack of better terms. So that was the kind of feedback that we were getting. Like just so many women, more women than men actually. So many women just going against, like fighting us left, right, and center. My co-founder is a man. He's male, and he's the one who actually came up with this concept. He's the one who came up with the organization. So you can imagine if we can have men who stand up and say, that's not right.
Yes.
So yeah, in a nutshell, I could say that's something, that's an experience that I always have at the back of my mind whenever I'm asked something like that.
And that even helped you for the Princess Diana Award.
Yeah, I mean that actually challenged me. That made me go for it. That made me do more. In fact, that just made me think, what? Let me do this even on a larger scale. Let's increase this in different countries. Let's not just radio. Let's do it. Let's try to get some TV airing on some of these issues. So that challenged me a lot. And I mean, I look at that ignorance that women have as a challenge for them to be able to realize, to be told that the bubble that you're in, the bubble that you have of African tradition is it's not butterflies, it's not this glorious thing that you see. Like there's a harmful side of it. There's this very dangerous side of it that I think should be done away with. Yeah.
True. Okay, so now, I'm looking at you, and you're very confident and you've even gotten to a point where you're saying, I really just don't care.
Yeah.
But when you look at a lot of women, and I think one of our biggest struggles, like you said, one, we're ignorant, two, our traditions have really, slumped us down to a point where a lot of women are more insecure, than confident. I'm curious, what got you to here? Have you always been like this? Or maybe there was something that happened and then you were like, you know what? I'm done being, and I'm just gonna be like this, and I'm not gonna care. I'm just gonna push. And in that retrospect, do advise on how, a little girl out there who's growing up in a society that really bashes girls that are coming out can do to wake up and be like, it's my world, I'm gonna take control. Yeah.
So I think what really inspired me to be how I am is my mom. I know that's a very cliche statement, like everyone always says that, but yeah, my mom, from the simplest things, from maybe going to Hungry Lion and not getting the pieces she wanted, even if she told them the pieces she wanted, she's always like, no, like you paid for that, Sanji, you've paid for it. Sometimes I'll just like, okay, I'll let it go, it's fine, I got a breast instead of a thigh. But she would always be like, no, you paid for that, they should give you what you paid for. There's just that thing that she embedded in me, to always just like to get what I want. Like no one should ever have to infringe my rights in any way. No one should ever have to deprive me of what I feel I should have, regardless of, in whatever form it may be, regardless of speech, maybe what they may say, regardless of their actions. That just kind of, I think it's really just penetrated every aspect of my life. She's that person. She's always that person. Who would say, no, like, why should that guy park like that, or why should that lady park like that when you already put that parking slot there? Just there are all these scenarios, and I think that's kind of what has raised me like that.
What would be your advice to other ladies? To just help them become even half as confident as you are.
Yeah. I mean, I think self-affirmation also. I think that's helpful. I mean, I had my mom to kind of pave the way for me. And, even in school, we haven't yet talked about women's representation in different spheres, but, even in school, I was at a STEM school. I was at Hillcrest, and I was in a class where I think just very few of us were female, and more of them were boys, were male, and throughout, I always felt like I need to prove myself, like I'm not going to, just because I'm female, I'm not going to be deprived of certain things. I'm not going to let someone think I can't do it or I'm not capable. All those things, like wherever I went, I always just had that mentality. And I think for other women and for other girls, it would be really good for them to just give themselves that self-affirmation that they can do it, And it should be challenging for them when someone thinks they can't do it. Because that's what I've faced even in journalism, investigative journalism for that matter. I mean, there's journalism and then there's investigative journalism, which is like, the men are the ones who are going out there, with their cameras in Syria or in Iran or Iraq or wherever, Congo DR, they're there and they're in the front lines.
Yes.
And, people usually think women aren't, women are kind of for the vanilla kind of journalism, Yeah, but then I think just in every sphere I've been challenged that I can say, I mean, he did it, what's wrong? Like, why can't I do it? In my education, I'd say, okay, he got those marks, he got those points, why can't I? There's nothing different. Our brain setup isn't different in any way. So it actually challenges me. Whenever I see some obstacles, it challenges me to even go forward and to prove people wrong.
Nice.
Awesome. Talking about challenges, I know the question that I keep having in my mind when women are fighting for their voices to be heard in the different spheres is, yes, we want women to be there, but also competence is very, very important. I've seen you travel around the world. I think the question that someone should ask is, which countries haven't you been to? Because I've seen you've traveled Europe, Asia, you've been everywhere. The competence is there. I know you've been through university, so when we see you sit in different positions, we're not surprised because the competence is there. But sometimes I feel women are just crying for their voices to be heard, even when they are not able to.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to be very bluntly honest with you. I'm not for instance, putting a woman in a political position just because she's a woman and she's not competent in any way. I'm not for that. I want for women, it's not just men who are also going to look and be like, okay, yeah, she's a woman, let's see what she's going to do. It's also for the women. We're also looking and saying, okay, is she someone who can inspire us? Is she someone who's breaking these barriers? Is she someone who's pushing forward? Is she someone who's paving the way for other women, for some of us? Are her shoulders the shoulders that we can, stand on in the next few years or something like that? It's also for us. We're also like looking, you understand? Like the world is watching, Zambia is watching, women are watching you. So what are you doing? Like, how are you breaking barriers? How are you,
how are you representing women?
Exactly. How are you representing women? So you have to be competent. I'm someone who's actually I mean, not harsh, but I'm someone who's very critical also of other women. I know, because I'm very critical about myself. I always want to do the best, like in whatever it is, whether it's an assignment, I want to give it my best, my everything, not just my time, but everything of me. And I'm critical of other women, because I'm like, okay, then you're in that position, what are you doing? What change have you made?
Yes.
I'm critical of other women in that sense, not to bring them down, but to challenge them, because I feel that obstacles have challenged me, and so they should be able to challenge you, not discourage you. You understand? Like, are you strong enough to face those obstacles? Because then if you're not, then you're not in the right position. You're not supposed to be there until you're strong enough. So, I feel that competence is, it's a very crucial point. It's a very crucial aspect of in whatever sphere a woman can be, or, you have to be competent. It's not just a matter of you being a woman.
Yeah.
I'm really against that, honestly. I feel that you should prove your competence.
I wish we can go on, Zanji. Time is not on our side.
Yeah.
As we let you go, top 3 women that influence you within the country.
Okay. So I think I would say firstly my mom also. I mean, she raised me. She raised such a strong girl like me. Secondly, I would say my boss. Yeah, my boss, her name is Mukosha Funga. She's an investigative journalist also. So she's just really the epitome of women in leadership to me. Because, she's just like, she's daring, she's not afraid to do the right thing. She's not afraid to go against the status quo. She's not afraid to rattle feathers. She's not afraid to do that. And, every time when I go to work and I look at how she leads us, it's really inspiring for me. Yeah, and I mean, I think the third person could be Dora Celia.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dora Celia. I went there.
And that's where we end this particular segment. Thank you so much for coming through, Zanji.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Still watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast. We're coming to you live from our Longacre studios right here in Lusaka. Also streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube, Millennium TV Zambia. The question you're asking is, are the voices of women being heard enough? What are you choosing to challenge this particular International Women's Day? They want to hear from you. Drop us a comment. You can also call us on 0974 750518. It's a fully packed show today. We discuss issues to do with women. Of course, right after the news updates, we have Chisenga Mumba, someone that really is a model to many people. Should be discussing how to rise to the top as a woman right after this.
It is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business.
It's a Monday edition of your favorite breakfast show, Millennium Kwacha. It is. We're coming to you live from our Longacre studios right here in Lusaka. We're also streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube. The question you're asking today is, are the voices of women being heard enough? The theme is choose to challenge. What are you choosing to challenge this particular women's? They want to hear from you. Interact with us. Send us a comment on Facebook or YouTube. You can also send us a WhatsApp message or SMS or call us on 097405740518. Want to hear from you. It's a fully packed Monday. Different phenomenal women coming on set. But for now, we move straight into the news updates with the headlines in local stories. India to build agriculture university in Zambia, and ZABS gets tough on product quality. In foreign news, EU and US suspend tariffs over Airbus Boeing dispute. And now the local news in detail. An Indian investor has pledged to build a specialized agriculture university in Zambia at the initial cost of $1 million. Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Kabijimpanga, has disclosed. Mrs. Kabijimpanga said Banyan Impex Private Limited Director J.M. Patel will travel to Zambia on the 15th of March 2021 with a view of starting the registration process of the investment in Zambia. She said this when Texila Investor Lusaka representative Jasvin Kumar paid a courtesy call on her in New Delhi, India. Mrs. Kabijimpanga stated that the mission is proud of Texila American University Lusaka, which has roots from India, as it took a bold step to invest in Zambia and is currently doing well. She said over 500 Zambians are currently in Indian universities and praised Texila American University for taking the investment to Zambia. The High Commissioner said Zambia is one of the best investment destinations in Africa after ranking 4th most peaceful country in Africa according to the 2020 Global Peace Index. Mrs. Kabijimpanga, however, said investors should target Zambia's energy, manufacturing, construction, tourism, and agriculture sectors as prioritized by President Edgar Lungu. Now, the Zambia Bureau of Standards, ZABS, has intensified the engagement of producers and other stakeholders on having their products meet required standards and ensure that they are certified. ZABS Executive Director Manuel Mutale said ZABS wants to ensure that all the commodities that are on the markets and in chain stores are certified and meet the required standards. Mr. Mutale said having high-quality products will help the country move forward economically. He said this during a courtesy call on Milonga District Administrative Officer Kelvin Ndandanda. Mr. Mutale said Milonga District has a good number of industrial projects that will need to work with ZABS for quality assurance of their goods and services. Meanwhile, Mr. Ndandanda said ZABS' visit to Milonga District will give an opportunity to the general public to know and embrace the importance of standards and quality assurance of products and services. He said the honey, milling, and fruit juices are the sectors that require ZABS' help in terms of packaging and quality assurance. ZABS is in Mwinilunga to check on the production and packaging businesses and ascertain their compliance to national standards. In foreign news, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari on Saturday urged all eligible Nigerians to be vaccinated against the coronavirus as soon as possible. At a media event held in Abuja, Buhari himself was earlier vaccinated using the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India and provided through the Global COVAX initiative. While the COVAX initiative was created to ensure that low and middle-income countries receive COVID-19 vaccines, it has faced delays and limited supply. Now, a first call on Friday clinched the first trade breakthrough to start rebuilding transatlantic relations between the United States and the European Union in the wake of the Trump presidency. After U.S. President Joe Biden and EU Commission Chief Ursula von der spoke, both sides had to suspend tariffs used in the long-standing Airbus-Boeing dispute for the next 4 months. It hardly covered all outstanding issues which were left to fester over more than the 4-year presidency, the presidency of former President Donald Trump. But the EU gladly took whatever it could to get from the first personal exchange between the two. It indicated a positive signal for economic cooperation in the years to come. That's it for foreign news.
Alrighty, we switch on to sports. And now NAPS's stars coach Mohamed Fati believes last Wednesday's league loss at Young Green Eagles has not dented their belief heading into this Wednesday's CAF Confederation Cup Group B opener in Morocco against holders RC Birkin. Now NAPS are currently en route to Birkin on the back of a humbling 3-1 away league loss to, I beg your pardon, let me just read that again. NAPS are currently en route to Birkin on the back of a humbling 3-1 away league loss to struggling promoted side Young Eagles in Kafue. Now the result is 6th from bottom, NAPS's heaviest league defeat this season. NAPS league form is in contrast to their continental run, where they are unbeaten in their debut CAF Confederation Cup campaign. Meanwhile, the 23-member team left for Casablanca on Saturday afternoon from Lusaka via the Dubai. From Casablanca, the team will travel northeast near the Algerian border to Birkin. It will also be NAPS's debut away trip to North Africa after preliminary stage exertions to Comoros, Mozambique, and Kenya. Zesco United recorded their 5th consecutive win after edging Kabwe Warriors 2-1 away in Kabwe on Sunday to restore a 4-point lead at the top of the Fuzz Super Division. Zesco, who have moved to 40 points after playing 20 matches, are 4 ahead of second-placed Zanaco. All the 3 goals in this game came in the first half, with striker Enoch Sakala Jr. handing the visitors an early lead at Govri Chitalu Stadium with a 15th minute headed goal. Warriors equalized 20 minutes later through Sydney Piri, but Zesco went ahead again this time around with experienced defender Adrian Chama as the scorer
on the 39th minute. This was Chama's second goal in 3 days, having contributed a goal in the 4-1 muling of Lumwana Radiants last Thursday in Ndola. The Magnificent Warriors' sixth loss of the season leaves them stuck on 31 points. In Solwezi, Lusaka Dynamos moved into third place on the table after thumping struggling Lumwana Radiants in Northwestern. Attacker Marvin Jerry grabbed a brace as Dynamos moved to 33 points, 7 behind leader Zesco after playing 21 matches. Elsewhere on Sunday, new Indeni coach Mwenya Chipepo engineered a 2-0 win over his immediate former club, the Prison Lovebirds. Forward Clement Mlenga was the hero of the day when scoring a brace at Godfrey Chitalu Stadium in the lunchtime match. Chipepo, a Zambian Correctional Service officer, last month took up the Indeni coach job after ditching Prison Lovebirds. Moving on to international stories, manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says Manchester United are not thinking about chasing down Manchester City, despite bringing the Premier League leaders' sequence of 21 successive victories to a crashing halt with an impressive derby victory at Etihad Stadium. Pep Guardiola's side still have what looks to be an unsaleable 11-point lead at the top of the table, but the manner in which United subdued a previously unstoppable City and enhanced their own top 4 chances will be a huge confidence boost to Solskjaer and his players. United, who have now gone 22 league away games unbeaten, including 14 wins, stand City with a fast start and were ahead after a penalty was awarded inside the first 30 seconds when Gabriel Jesus fouled the impressive Anthony Martial. Bruno Fernandes scored from the spot despite City keeper Ederson getting a strong hand on the ball. Then United fashioned the win with a mixture of solid defense and constant menace on the break. Rodri almost equalized just after the break when his shot glanced off the angle of the post and bar, but United effectively sealed the win, condemning City to their first loss since a 2-0 defeat at Tottenham on the 21st of November. When the outstanding show, who had earlier missed a chance to double United's lead, led a counter-attack, exchanging passes with Marcus Rashford before beating Ederson with a low shot. Solskjaer's team, who had not scored in their previous 3 games, moved back into second place, a point ahead of Leicester City in the increasingly tight fight for a place in the top 4. That's it for sports. Moving on to money markets. The Zambian kwacha is trading at 21.88 against the US dollar, 30.27 against the British pound, 26.12 against the euro, and 1.43 against the South African rand. The South African rand was little changed at 15.3 against the greenback, not far from a 5-week low of 15.4 touched earlier in the session after Fed Chair Powell did not signal any change in policy despite rising Treasury yields. The British pound depreciated towards a 1.38 trading at its weakest level since February 14th as rising bond yields pushed up the dollar and hit appetite for riskier currencies and stock markets. And the euro extended losses towards the 1.19 mark, hovering around its weakest level since late November as investors turned to bond yields and the dollar after the US Fed chief said that the economic reopening could boost inflation temporarily. The euro was already under pressure as investors continue to monitor the slow pace of the COVID-19 vaccination in the EU and its impact on Europe's economic recovery. We end money markets and go straight to the weather now. Lusaka City will be mostly cloudy and humid, a stray of thunderstorms later on in the afternoon, so just keep your umbrellas close. Temperatures currently standing at 23 degrees Celsius, rising slightly to 25 degrees Celsius before diving down to 19 degrees Celsius later on in the evening. Ndola on the Copper Belt will be cloudy and humid with thunderstorms. Temperatures currently standing at 22 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 23 in the afternoon and drop to 18 degrees Celsius in the evening. Chipata will experience showers this morning, otherwise considerable cloudiness throughout the day. Temperatures currently standing at 23 degrees Celsius, rising slightly to 24 degrees Celsius, then going slightly down to 19 degrees Celsius. And our tourist capital, quite hot. It's already at 30 degrees Celsius, climbing to about 31 degrees Celsius, and then dropping to 20 degrees Celsius. Like I said, it's going to be warm in our tourist capital, pleasant with partial sunshine in most parts of the city. That's it for the weather and the news update. We still have so much more lined up for you. Do stay tuned. The theme for women is choose to challenge. What are you choosing to challenge? And the question that we're asking you today is, do you think that women's voices are being heard enough? Do drop those comments on Facebook. We are live on Facebook and YouTube as well. All you have to do is type in Millennium TV Zambia and you will be able to find us. And then you can also call the number 0975 740518. That's 0975 740518. You can
text, call, and even WhatsApp on that very line to give us your comment. Happy Women's Day to the women out there. And since Paul is insisting, to the men and the women in your lives as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in just a bit.
Hello and welcome to Zoom in Africa, where we'll bring you the continent's biggest stories in current affairs. We'll also bring you the headlines, main news stories, expert analyses, and interviews. Right here on Millennium TV.
Millennium TV. Millennium TV. Women Business.
It is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business.
Hello and welcome to Zoom in Africa, where we'll bring you the continent's biggest stories in current affairs. We'll also bring you the headlines, main news stories, expert analyses, and interviews. Right here on Millennium TV.
Choose to Challenge is a theme for this year's International Women's Day. Happy Women's Day to all the women that are watching. Happy Women's Day to all the men also, because you have women in your life. Constance reminded me that's a very big statement to say, all the women in your lives. Yeah, but yes, happy International Women's Day to you that is watching. We're coming to you live from our Longacre studios right here in the capital city, Lusaka. We're also streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube, Millennium TV Zambia. Want to hear from you. The question we are asking is, are the voices of women being heard enough or what are you choosing to challenge this particular Women's Day? I want to hear from you. Send us a comment on Facebook or YouTube. You can also send us an SMS, call us, or WhatsApp message on 0974-7505-18. We want to hear from you. Now on set, talking about rising to the top as a woman, we've been joined by a veteran broadcaster. I want to call her a veteran broadcaster. In fact, I don't even know why I'm even hosting this. She's supposed to be hosting and directing the show. Welcome, Chisenga Mumba.
Thank you.
You're a veteran. I even feel bad, like, no, I'm supposed to be
I know, right? It's
interviewed.
like, keep quiet, don't say anything. She should take control.
All the mistakes they're about to see, like, no. Oh, you don't do that. Yeah.
You know, ironically, that's so odd to be called veteran. I think that's the first time I'm hearing that. I've been called a lot of things, not veteran. I'm honored. I'm so honored.
It's good to have you.
Please control me, otherwise I will take over.
Awesome. Communication specialist at the Zambia Agribusiness and Trade Project. What is this project about before we even get to the topic?
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So Zambia Agribusiness and Trade Project is it's unique. It's something that I know I'm biased, but I genuinely think this is a very unique concept in that we are really just spurring farmer groups to the next level. So it's not, we get misunderstood quite a lot, and you know, some people tend to feel aggrieved because they just assume that they're going to have a beautiful concept and come forward and then we're going to give them money and they'll get started. We do not deal with startup farmers. You have to already be in the industry, in the farming industry. And I call it industry on purpose because we are calling it an agribusiness. So what we're aiming to do is just really take the already existing farmers to the next level. So we're really just the farmers' response to, say, CEEC, who are one of our partner organizations, and we refer quite a few of you know, entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs, to CEEC, among others. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We aim to empower farmer groups that are already existing, that are already in different value chains, take them to the next level so that they can become industrial in a manner of speaking, so that you're no longer just dealing with a hoe, you can move on to, you know, this industrial plows or whatever else that you need to get done.
Before she comes in, today I don't want to talk about the Zati project, but talking about you as a woman. How do you define this year's theme? I grew up watching you on TV, and it was like a dream come true.
Now I feel so old.
But how do you define this? You're a successful person, really. We grew up as you modeling us, showing us the way, and we are proud that you could even agree to come and interviewed by people that, yes.
Really.
How do you define this year's International Women's Day theme?
Wow, choose to challenge is loaded, I think. For me, when I was thinking about it and reflecting on it, I chose to believe that this is a very loaded theme that each woman can interpret in their own way. And I think it's lovely that we can do that, except that we can't ignore the fact that we're living in a very challenging time, which forces us to be as innovative as possible. COVID-19, nobody anticipated it the world over. So the question is, as a woman in the industry, you know, how is it that you're going to be as innovative and as relevant as possible? I'm sure, Constance, you understand this struggle firsthand. You know, staying relevant in a time such as this is where the challenge comes in. You know, there's so much that, and I really feel for the entrepreneurs, you know, the people who had the courage to step out and, you know, try to be their own, you know, success story, and then COVID-19 comes and really, really just pushes you to the limits and the challenges. You know, you really have to, these are unique times. We've never had times like this, at least the generation that's alive today has never lived through such times before. It has forced us to really just stand out. And if you're not made of, you know, cement, if your foundation isn't strong, you will fold. And especially the fact that, you know, we're women and we're trying to get ahead and we're trying to achieve all the things that the men have been achieving over centuries. And we're women living in Africa, for that matter. You know, that's an added challenge. And I won't even go there for now. But we're women who live in Africa. We're on the one hand fighting biases. You know, there's certain expectations society has of you. Oh no, by 21, we must receive a bride price for you, and then by 30, you must have 5 kids, and etc., etc. And it's all just, we're changing, you know, so much, and we're challenging yet more. I believe. And the challenges come every single day. And yet at the same time, it's not a bleak picture. I think it's really an exciting time to be alive. I think that women in Zambia have achieved so much and are yet to achieve so much more. So this theme actually allows us to interpret in different ways. And for me, I choose to take it as an exciting time to be innovative.
Awesome. Okay, so now, before anything else, I want to get this out of the way. Our question today is, are women's voices being heard enough? What do you think on that? Are women's voices being heard enough in a time like this? You know, like you've already stated, it's a challenging time. Yeah. Do you think this has actually brought down what we've been fighting even for years, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I think that we're achieving a lot. Even the rural woman is achieving so much. And every day that goes by, I believe that we are getting somewhere. You know, I don't, when I read about sad scenarios of, say, gender-based violence, or, you know, women that are still downtrodden in certain situations, it doesn't necessarily make me sad. I feel it's a challenge that is thrown to us to say, look, we need to get together as women and really just make our voices all the more stronger. But unfortunately, you do see certain pockets, even amongst fellow women of dissent. You know, people don't really seem to grasp or understand that these are times not to be divisive, but really to just get together as women and just, you know, get to the next level together. And even, you know, there's still room to be unique. I mean, we don't, I'm Constance too, by the way.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Constance Mova.
Awesome. What a coincidence.
Exactly, you know, I'm following her footsteps. My name just follows everything. Awesome.
So I believe that, you know, as Constance, you can do you in a very, very unique manner, and yet still be, you know, together with Chisenga or together with Pamela or together with whoever else as a unit, and yet still shine. You know, being together as women or speaking with one voice doesn't necessarily dim your own shine. It never does. There's room for every single woman to outshine, you know, everybody else in her own unique way. And I think maybe, you know, in trying to be competitive, we want to say, no, the next person shouldn't succeed because then I'm going to look like I'm not succeeding at all. I don't believe that's a fact at all. So it's not necessary for us to, you know, be divisive, even as fellow women. It's not. This is a beautiful time for us to be together as one unit and go forward and inspire one another and really not be afraid to celebrate one another. You know, if somebody has achieved something, a career step, for example, I choose to celebrate with them, you know, to celebrate them because that's something that's incredibly unique.
Yes.
Yes, and I believe that these are beautiful times for us to be alive. And yes, our voice is loud, both for the rural woman and for the so-called urbanite, and, you know, there's different classes in there. There's the divas, there's every kind of woman in this country, and we're doing so much, and it's an incredible time.
Nice.
I'm happy about these times, actually.
What I would want to also find out from you is that the time you're living in ZNBC, you're executive producer, you've achieved quite so much in your career. In my eyes, and in the eyes of quite a lot of younger people, what has helped you, despite being a woman, what has helped you? What are some of the things that a young lady in the rural part of this country is watching and wants to learn from you?
Yes. I have chosen to take, through my career steps, the back seat and learn. Not just from fellow women, but, you know, learn from everybody that has achieved, everybody that inspires me. Even quietly. I don't necessarily go up to people and say, oh my God, you inspire me so much. No. I don't necessarily do that. But I do choose to sit back, chill, very important, and learn. You know, you can learn from anyone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person that's your senior. You can learn even from a peer. You can learn even from a woman that's selling groundnuts at the street, for example. You can learn from her attitude towards life. What is it that motivates her to get up each morning? And I think for me, that's what has worked. I have chosen to really just sit back and learn from everybody. And I think that really has, you know, the honor of being, and I miss that so much, being able to lead this team of incredibly talented people. You know, I was at ZMBC for 10 years. Yeah. And to be able to, you know, take the front seat in a manner of speaking as executive producer and work with also talented people, it's a challenge. I mean, everybody was like, you know, everybody's a success in their own right. And, you know, it's almost like you're being competitive among yourselves. But when you're dealing with different personalities, you've chosen not to try to boss everybody around. And, you know, I've chosen a team spirit. I think it's very, very important, you know, because in being a team player, you learn from one another. Everybody has their own unique talent, like I said. And, you know, I chose to idolize where I need to idolize, or step in firmly where I need to step in firmly. And I think that has taken me to the next level. You know, I've just jealously guarded what I've learned and used it as the next step at each and every point in my life. And, you know, by the grace of God, I am where I am today, and I'm really, really happy. And I've obviously not abandoned the industry. I will be a broadcaster forever, as far as I'm concerned. I have a voice, and I like to use it in a progressive manner, and I hope I'm doing the right thing so far.
You are.
I know, right? Now, before we close, and we need to wrap up, but before we close, you are communications in an agri, you know, business, and a lot of times farming is seen, you know, like, no, it's farming, you know, like you can't do that. You're a lady, you're a diva, you're whatever. You know, what got you started, or what got you there, and how have you even gone against that stereotype of, you know, how farming is perceived?
Yeah, you know, that's a very good point, Constance. You know, I personally had that bias once upon a time, many, many years ago when I was ignorant too. But, you know, I have discovered that there are women that are wearing boots and getting their hands dirty, quite literally, and getting into the field, and they are millionaires.
Yes.
Remember what I talked about, learning? Every day is a learning step for me. I am inspired, where I'm sitting right now, to be a full-time farmer myself someday, because I can see what it's doing for people. It's making them so much money. It's making them employers. You know, there's women that are based around the country that are doing so many incredible things in the farming industry. And I cannot believe I ever thought this was a dirty profession. I so regret it. I really, I repent. I have learned that farming is where it is at. And, you know, it's an industry in itself, and it's not, it may not be the most glamorous thing in that you're not wearing makeup every day to the farms.
Yes.
But you are still, you know, making such an incredible stamp with regard to your footprint on the economy of the country. And, you know, we're leaning towards agriculture as a matter of policy as a country. So it's really just the right place to be, I believe. And, you know, these women that are inspiring us, they're everywhere across the country. They're doing so many beautiful things in the industry. And I think their stories need to be told. And I'm enjoying so much being able to tell them in my own way, using whatever tools are at my disposal to tell the stories of the women, even the men, that are doing so much to get ahead. Wow. They're doing so much to get ahead, and I'm really inspired. I'm serious about this. I mean, I've already secured my teeny tiny piece of land, and I've gotten started. Yeah, I've done the herbs so far, and I'm getting to the next level. Someday I'll get there.
Awesome. Yeah. Two last questions before we let you go.
Right.
This particular segment, we wanted to look at rising to the top as a woman. There are some women that are watching and wondering some of the mistakes that you feel they should not make when they are journeying their journey of success.
That's a hard one.
What are some of the things, you've moved in the industry quite well, what are some of the things you feel women that are watching should look out for and avoid in their journey to success?
Okay. I think there are quite a number of pitfalls that we need to be wary of as women. Believing that you've arrived, for one, because that, it puts you in a space where you kind of downtrod your ambition, your sense of ambition, and you're not trying to do anything else. But, you know, we're living in a dynamic society. Things are changing all the time. Don't sit back because you've bought the most beautiful vehicle and believe that you've arrived. There's so much more that you can still do. You can still be impactful to other people in your realm, in your community, by really just progressing and aspiring for the next level. That's one thing. The second thing that we need to look out for is trying to be conformist. Because no, in Zambia we don't do this, so I won't do it. No, don't do that to yourself. There's so much that you can achieve if you just ignore those negative voices, those buzzers that are telling you, no, this shouldn't be done. Who said the woman must do it? No, it's noise. You know, shut it out. Don't listen. Only attract the kind of noise that you need to be hearing. You need to be around positivity as much as possible, which is why I like to deliberately block negativity, whether it's by blocking a person that I feel has negative aura around them. I will do it, you know, just so I can be around, you know, that kind of positive energy that really I need to get ahead. Yeah. I think there's so many more pitfalls, but I will restrict myself to that.
Finally, top 3 women that inspire you in the country.
Wow. Now that's the hardest ever. That's the hardest ever. I kid you not. There's so many. And to pick out specific people, I think would be a misservice. It would be a serious misservice. But, wow, let me try. Top 3. Out of
100, yes.
Doreen Mkanzo.
Doreen Mkanzo. Awesome.
Do you remember
Yes,
her?
yes, from the NBC.
The reason I became a journalist.
Yeah.
Great.
Literally.
She's got some amazing skills. And she has this, have you had a conversation with her?
No, I feel like I would freeze though. Literally, I'll just be like,
I feel she has so much to offer still.
Great.
You know, she's happy, yes, and she's doing her career and her gardening. She's a great lover of the garden and all of that. I feel she achieved so much, and then, you know, she really just inspires me holistically. Who else can I pick out? In the business industry, Ms. Ngamelo.
Okay.
Yeah. She has really just gotten to that level where she's even, and I love her sense of detachment, even from negativity.
Yeah.
That's the level I want to be at, where I'm not stressing about, oh my gosh, how could you say that about me? She's just at the next level and achieving what she needs to achieve. So I'm going to keep my third one secret, if I may.
Awesome.
Yes?
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Singer, for coming through Millennium Kwacha.
Thank you for asking me here. It's been an honor. I love what you're doing here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll have you again.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm scared.
Awesome. Still watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast show. Coming to you live on this special edition from our Long Acre Studios right here in Lusaka. Also streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube. So much to discuss today. We're asking, are the voices of women being heard enough? Want to interact with you? Send us your comments on Facebook. After this break, we discuss women and money in the 21st century. Lia Pambewa is already on set just after this.
Thanks.
It is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business. Millennium TV. TV. Millennium TV. We mean business. Millennium TV.